Okay, tonight we have Toni Ghazi, and he's a channeler. He can actually channel information to the praying mantis type aliens. But before we get into that, let me introduce Tony to the staff here. We have Phil Diacero, and he's El Guapo. And we got the Paranormal Soul Brother, and he's right there in a car, and he's coming from, believe it or not, Joshua Tree National Park. And if anybody knows anything about Joshua Tree National Park, that is a UFO hotbed. And Zandine actually got some pictures of some UFOs out there. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, Tony is able to channel information to extraterrestrials. I believe he's a psychic medium. Is that true, Tony, or did I get that wrong someplace?
Uh, you're not wrong. I mean, we're all channels, we're all psychic mediums. But I don't speak too much to the dead, although there is no death. Although like some of the dead has come through, but I'm expanding, so who knows? Tomorrow I may be able to do that. But yes, we're all psychics and we all can channel and do channel, we're just not aware of it. So I would say I'm a channel psychic. I wouldn't say like medium because I don't tend to speak to the dead yet, although it's happened like a few times. I just don't consciously go there.
How did you learn about your powers that you were able to communicate with extraterrestrials and stuff like that?
So look, I'm 45 years old, and exactly when COVID came, I had turned 40, God, 40 years old, maybe 41, whatever the math is, 4 years ago. Up until that point, up until 40, 41 years old, I was totally asleep, like literally asleep, knowing nothing about UFOs, aliens, the term spirituality. So I grew up Christian. I'm Lebanese, and I was born in Lebanon, and I moved to Washington, D.C., like when I was 15. So like Christianity was my like the way that I grew up. Jesus, Mother Mary, all the saints, etc., etc. Exterior outside of me, right? So like Jesus outside of you, like Mother Mary, I would pray, do these things, I would go to church, etc. So like that was my life up until when COVID came, and when it hit and the whole world shut down, I had some time to watch TV because normally I'm super busy because I'm a realtor and I sell real estate here in Washington, D.C., and I still do, and I'm extremely busy. So, but like when COVID came, we didn't know how the new paradigm of the workplace will be. So I had a few months where I had some time and I began watching TV, and all of a sudden, like shows on the Gaia channel about UFOs would come up, about spirituality, about consciousness, about meditation, and about channeling specifically. And there's a show called The Interview with Extra Dimensionals with Ruben Langdon that's purely about channelers. He had, I think, 2 seasons. Each season was like 10 episodes, and he had one channel for each episode. And these channels have been channeling for years, since the 80s. I knew nothing about him. I was transfixed, literally. I watched each episode probably like 10 times, like wanting to understand what I'm hearing. I mean, everything was like gibberish to me. It was, I mean, I might as well have been been watching a Chinese show. I mean, you understand the English of what's being said, but no context at all of what is being said, nothing. But I kept watching and watching and watching, dying, trying to understand what's being said. And I think that show awakened a lot of parts within me, although I didn't get the context yet until like 1 year later, because the show I felt seeded all these ideas into my field that began to awaken on my journey, like the year after, or like for the next year. And I began like listening to Bashar, and like he's a channel that's been channeling since the 80s, and a few other channels, and I just became, in a sense, like wowed by, wow, like what kind of special powers do you have to have? What lineage are you supposed to be from? How do you channel? And a cat of my ex-boyfriend passed away, and he asked me if I know any animal communicator, and I told him no. So I go on Google, and I found a few animal like communicators, but they had a year wait, and we couldn't wait like that long. But I found a woman by like the name of Stephanie Light. Uh, that had an appointment. We spoke to the cat, and like we brought her through. Towards the end of the session, she says, and by the way, I teach channeling classes. Literally, it was like that. Synchronistically, I wasn't even asking for it. I say, please sign me up. The moment that I began taking the class, I knew within myself, I cannot describe it. I just knew I could. And I was the first one that raised my hand, although I had no faith in myself. I thought you need to have special powers. I thought you needed to go like meditate for hours or live like a hermit on some mountain or whatever. You know, all the stories of less than. I really like disempowered myself in so many ways. But the moment that I channeled is the first time that I didn't stutter. So I've always had a speech impediment. My dad stutters and my brother stutters, and then my uncle on my dad's side stutters. And I still do. I use the word and I use the word like to help me transition as a and here comes the stuttering as a bridge. And if I don't, I'd go But when I channel like for the first time, like really beginning to learn is the first time in 41 years that I spoke fluently. For the first time, I felt out of this prison of what I called my throat, of my speech. I love to dialogue. I love to communicate. Oftentimes, I really muffled myself and I suppressed myself because I would stutter and I just couldn't. And I lost a job like because of it, because I wasn't able to communicate and it was so traumatic. So anyhow, so the whole stuttering thing, like with me, is super personal and was a prison for like 41 years until the first time I actually channeled, where I was free as a bird. And that moment where I felt free really shifted my mind and made me believe that what just happened was real, that the fact that I can channel is real, the state of being that I get into is real. And every time I channel, I don't stutter. It's the most amazing, like, feeling of freedom. And like through that, I kind of began awakening. And I took a past life regression like session um, where they what's the word? Um, like put you to bed under hypnosis and like you go into your like past lives, and the first image that came through is the face of like the praying mantis being. It was like a rectangular face. It was so clear, but it was a flash. But the cool thing about that flash image is that as fast as it came and went, I was also in it for eternity. Like two awarenesses at once that I like never knew like existed, that I could see a quick image, but yet I was in that image for a long time. The next image was of this long bodied silhouette, like 20, 30 feet high, with like looked like a humanoid like silhouette with a head and like the shoulders and like arms down, like 20, 30 feet high of pure light. And I heard in my mind, it was telepathically spoken, that we are coming to you in this humanoid figure with the light, like with that energy, frequency, and vibration, because your mind, your like physical mind, will not be able to comprehend what it sees if we truly like come in the intelligence that we are, because they're light vibration, the mantis beings. But they said, as you look at like this silhouette, your like mind will begin to acclimate to our energies, in like little by little, as you work with us, you'll begin to understand and experience who we are, and we'll reveal ourselves to you like little by little. The third and the last image like that came through is of this heart that was sliced, like slice into infinity. It was like this infinite slices. Each slice was faceted like a crystal. So, like for example, I have this like this crystal, as clear as this crystal is. The clarity of the facets of each of the slice was beyond what my mind can comprehend. What clear is, clarity is actually intelligence. And all the slices were all faceted, but within that infiniteness of all of the slices, there was a small grain of light. So, like in the middle of this, like infinite, like I would say, like corridor of the slices of the heart, there was a small grain of light, so tiny. And I heard in my mind, you, like meaning all of us, like all consciousness, are so powerful that you do not need a massive flame to reveal to yourself your power. All you need is a grain, a speck of who you are. and that light reflected off the one facet to the next, to the next, to the next, into like the infinity, and created this vehicle, this merkaba of light. And in that moment, I knew that I was made of love. I knew I was made of light. I knew that like the mantis beings, the way that they are like made of that vibration. And like from that on, I literally ran out the door like after like the session ended, fully knowing who I am, like quote unquote, where I come from, where my connection is, and it unfolded this massive opening into aliens, UFOs, other beings, and it just fell into I was in love literally with that like version of me that I never ever knew could have access to that or be there or reach it. And it was just the most magnificent, magical experience that just changed my world. Like to
Tony,
the Yeah.
is that the Antarean heart that you're referring to?
Yes. So I decided to call myself the Antarian Heart because 3 months after that session, I had an Akashic reading with Debbie Solaris, a like super famous woman that like can read the Akashic records, and like there are many people that like can do that. And
Edgar,
when I
Edgar Casey was able to do that. He used to tap into the Akashic records.
Exactly, exactly. And like truly, like we all can, but we just don't know that we can yet. But she knew the Akashic records, and she's the one who literally said, Your first, I guess, emanation like from source was like through the Antares Stargate." And that's where the praying mantises like come from, like in a sense. And that's my second kind of confirmation, and a like proof outside of my own knowledge, like for a woman who is popular, who is famous, who knows about all of these um Akashic records, that gave me the confirmation that what I experienced like during the past life regression was real, was really accurate. And after that, like I named myself the Antarian Heart, and I am like learning through other people, and even like through the frequency, like as I channel that like the Antares Stargate is a true intelligence. It's not like a Stargate in the sense it's a door. It's just an intelligent consciousness, but of such high vibration, of such unconditional love. And when I say unconditional love, even my words aren't enough to describe what like what I experience, but it's such a high vibration of unconditional love for all, like for creation, for all facets, for all experiences, for all versions, for everything. And here I am professing to the world that I channel the immense beings in Washington, D.C., as I'm selling real estate, and I'm quite well known here. So, like, for me to step out into the corporate world and say, listen, guys, I speak to bug beings is a big deal. You know what I mean? But I know what I know, and nothing could shake me away from it. And that's the short version of it without getting into so many other details.
You know,
Have
oh, I'm sorry, Phil, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Paul. Hold that thought. Have you had it? Speaking of that, that is very brave of you to come out, being that you do deal with the public. Um, have you had any negative experiences because of you sharing this part of yourself with the world?
Yeah, you know what? This is a really good question because what you don't know is after that experience, I was called. So like you get downloads, right? So like once you open up your consciousness to receive them more, you begin to receive messages, and it's not that you began to receive, you're becoming aware of the messages that you always received. And like one of them is create a decal on the back of your car and say that you talk to aliens, have Bigfoot, have mantis beings, have saucers. My whole car on the back of it is all that. It says the Antarian heart, this and that. And as I'm showing houses to my clients, because my clients get in my car, the first thing they see is that massive decal. And literally, the first thing we talk about is that consciousness, aliens, UFOs. And I've had one of the most beautiful, expansive dialogues with clients. And I help clients from all over the world, every denomination, every culture, every language, every religion. And we have the most beautiful, intense dialogue. And I'm not trying to convince them of like what I do. I'm just explaining to them what my journey is, and I'm also listening to what their journey is, and we just come to the middle, respecting each other, and it's been the most fascinating discussions. But every once in a while, like while I'm driving, like I get people that would roll down their window and honk and like show me the Bible. Like they have a Bible and go, Jesus, believe in Jesus. And recently on social media, I've been getting a lot of hate mail of being the devil, of being a cult leader, of being a lot of these like negative, and I honor them because look, I don't expect you to understand me unless you've been through my shoes. So I really honor the ones that don't get it and just like profess their anger or whatever it is, because I get it. If like 20 years ago, like you came to me and explained this, I would have thought you're crazy too. In a way, I just would not have understood it. I would not have called you like names, but fine, like people call names. So on social media, I've been getting some hate mail. Also, to the fact that I've been dressing as creation. The more that I expand my mind and allow myself to be free to express as creation, not from the gender aspect, male, like female. Like the fact I do my nails, which just all this began like 2 months ago, is not because I want to put my nails in this. I realized through the like connection like with the men's beings that I'm an infinite being. And in order for me to understand what infinity is, all the parts of it, it's important for me to experience all of those parts. And like one of them is this. And I've been dressing and I've been so normally like when I'm on stage, I do my white garb with the gold and I put the star and stuff. I've been called recently to like to wear dresses, and I've been wearing like women's like dresses, not because I've been like my husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, babe, look, I have to trust spirit. They said break the paradigm and break the visuals like for people that a dress means like female or like girly or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with me stepping into these versions of me that are infinite, to allow that version to invoke within me experiences, feelings, emotions that I cannot have until I surrender into that version and work beyond the fear. And don't worry if like you're being ridiculed, or if you put high heels on, which I've never wore high heels, and it's the most traumatizing thing to do. But I like did it to allow myself to break the paradigm of what my society like said I can be and who I am, because I know fully now that I'm everything. I'm the plant, I'm the leaf, I'm the sun, I'm the wind, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I am masculine, I am feminine, I'm the dog, I'm the cat, I'm the galaxies, I'm consciousness, I'm abstract, I'm all of it. And I allow myself really to express that way. And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, because if I get a download to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to jump. And it allowed me this freedom. So like when people witness that, I get some beautiful, loving, beautiful messages of wow, like empowerment. This is amazing. And a lot of the ones that are like, like that are hateful, and it really like surprised me because, look, all my friends network, all my people, I'm like all the events that I go to, everybody kind of believes on the same like vibration. Even if you don't believe, you are like of loving nature. I haven't had friends or like even communities that really like do ridicule, because we all try to celebrate like each other. But the fact I received a massive, massive, all kinds of messages like on social media of hate surprised me, and it was very foreign to me. I'm like, what? The world live like this? Like this? Like there are people that like feel this way, and then like the Mantis like came through and said, yes, this is where you step into fully honoring these ascended masters, because we're all ascended master. Even like the being that's calling me like all of the hate words are ascended masters, shows that theme of exploration, of forgetfulness, and of limitation, to experience that aspect of the infinite. And who am I to really to like to say you don't get to choose the way that you want to live in the darkness, in the forgetfulness. And like for me, like and like for me to sit there and fully honor you as the ascended master, to witness you in your own awakening, whichever way it looks like, however you express it. Even to me with hate, I really don't see it as hate, although in the beginning I was like, it was weird. But then I just had to fall into my own knowingness of who I am and allowing them to be who they are. And that's the next level of really unconditional love, is unconditionally loving the next person to be precisely what they chose to be and on their journey, because really their journey is also ascension. Ascension isn't the way that, or I should say, like, ascension like doesn't look one way, right? It's not that I'm a channel and I'm having a great day and I'm loving blah blah blah. Even if I'm having a very awful day and I'm depressed or like whatever it is, that is also part of ascension because it's allowing me as a being to experience that facet of the infinite. So many topics, guys, we can talk about. It's insane, but thank you for that question, Phil. Hopefully that answered
Hey,
it a
Tony,
little.
ask you, some abductees say that they're abducted by these aliens called the Greys, and the Greys will look over them and stuff like that. And then comes in the leader, which is usually a praying mantis extraterrestrial. Now, when you were channeling with this praying mantis extraterrestrial, has it told you why they're abducting humans? And why is it that some people think of the praying mantis extraterrestrial as something bad or evil?
Awesome question. You need to know, and your audience needs to know that I was deathly afraid of insects and anything crawly all my life for 41 years. Like I literally would run like a little girl screaming or a little boy, afraid of a bee or anything multi-legged. Like absolutely terrifying. We're so brainwashed and trained that insectoid beings on our planet, like actual insects, are like scary looking, or anything foreign in you, there's something bad in like the corner when truly in the abyss, in the darkness, in the unknown is really more of who we are because we're infinite beings and those are all our versions. So when I began connecting like with the praying mantis beings, I could not but love them. And I really like challenged myself to love every insect to the point that bees would come to me and land on my hand. I have like videos. 3 bees came like crazy. It's all vibration, it's all frequency. Like they can feel you, like they can sense you. So because we've been like so trained that an insectoid looking insect even on our planet is really scary, or it can bite you, or it can sting you. It really carries that, what's the word, um the like preconceived notion that they're evil or bad or not good for you, or harmful. So that translates also like into that. So like some channels out there, or some be or like some humans that have connected and have channeled like energies of all kinds of beings, and some like praying mantises describe the praying mantises as observers. From my experience, like specifically the way that I felt, they made me feel and experience, it's the best way that I can describe it, almost like their hands is intertwined in everything that happens in all planets, all galaxies, all parallel realities, all possibilities, all versions of all, but it's not actual hands. It's just this like supercomputer of intelligent consciousness. They work with sound vibration, they work with color frequencies, and they work with light vibration, and how they create galaxies, like create the experiences. And through that knowledge, through that knowingness of whom they are as expanded like intelligence beyond what our mind can intellectually comprehend what intelligence is, they assist other beings, not only the Greys, a lot of other beings, in really activating DNA like within our field, like physical DNA and our light DNA structure. And the whole concept is that like DNA is only 12 strands or whatever. That's an old way of thinking about it. Really, like DNA structure is multidimensional, and it goes on into within the fabric of like the universe, and it depends on your awareness of who you are and how connected or not connected to the all you experience aspect of the strands. But they assist other beings in helping activations and remembrance. And the idea of being abducted, humans created it. There is no abduction of any kind.
Hey, Tony, let me
All
tell you something real fast.
please.
This is a true story. It happened today.
Sure.
One of my friends was out for a walk, and they told me, they go, Paul, I came across a praying mantis. I said, that is so weird because I'm over here interviewing you that has this connection to the praying mantis extraterrestrial. So, I mean, it seems like they are watching.
Listen, when I have channeling sessions, I have so many clients after the fact. They say, look, I've lived, I don't know, Arizona or Colorado or Hawaii or DC, even where I've lived wherever they live for 25 years. I've never seen a praying mantis. All of a sudden, actual insect is on the screen of the door, or the crazy stuff happens. They do appear. But let's go back to the idea of like the word abducted. Abduction is created from our perspective, our very limited lens. In the way that we live our society from a conditional love, like the praying mantis being said, humans conditionally love, period. Although like some of our humans have experienced the idea of unlike conditional love, we all like conditioning love, and we live in separation and in judgment. And because of that, we experience the idea of meeting an alien, whether it's gray or any like other type, as abduction, as if we weren't co-creating that experience with them, when in reality we are co-creating. We signed up to remember that way, because our higher self, our higher energy that knows all, right? The like the light essence that surrounds us, that has intelligence and remembers who it is, knows the theme of explorations that we chose. But speaking of the government, and we're not going to get too much like into that, they have orchestrated ideas of abduction that's felt the experience like of abduction that wasn't real, like in a sense, because it was orchestrated. But the real what I would like to call is like reacquaintances, or like reinvitation, or like remembrance. When you meet other aliens, you already have like decided to co-create it, to allow yourself like to remember. And then oftentimes this is like what they do. They help you, they heal you, they activate parts within you, they like restructure like the DNA structure and like the light body. We have a lot of sacred geometrical like angles of light that are within us that we don't even comprehend that they're there. So they assist in like the awakening. Does that make sense? Awesome question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zendine, I know you probably have some things you want to ask. Who's been looking forward to seeing you. Zendine, can you hear me?
Awesome question. You're muted.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just listening. I'm just fascinated, listening to his journey.
Awesome question.
And what
Awesome
so
question.
are you more fascinated or more in tune with the actual encounters with the beings, riding with them, seeing what their life is like, or how it affects your life, or like what aspects really keep you going, almost like your charge for this whole thing.
You guys are asking amazing questions. And like nobody has asked this specific question, like, which is cool. So look, again, this is my experiences from my lens, from my facet, right? You can talk to a lot of other channelers and mediums, and then psychics, and they'll have their own way on how they see their life, in translate their experience in their life. What I've learned and I've experienced through the Mantis beings, because like when I channel, I'm like to my clients, I literally go into like consciousness, and I'm beyond the mind, beyond the brain, and it's hard to describe what I experienced in words. But through those many experiences, I really have learned that I am not separate than any those beings. Like I have this comprehension now, this knowingness, what I call, like, I don't need proof. I don't need any scientific data. I don't need any of that. I know what I know, and I'm sticking with it. The same way how like when I knew that like that I connect with the Mantis beings, and I put the decal and I ran in Washington, D.C. saying I talk to insectoid beings. That knowingness is so strong, nothing can like veer you away from it. So now I know that in order for me to access them more, in order for me to have more experience with what we call all beings or all aspects of the infinite, is important for me to know myself fully. And I don't know myself. Awesome question. I know the version of Toni. Awesome question. Awesome that is question. The mask. I'm Lebanese. I'm male. I'm gay. I don't know, all of the things that were imposed on you by society, like by parents, by the experiences, stories. So I created layers and identities over myself that I'm beginning to really realize I don't know who really the true Tony is, like the one that was born in this life at age like 0 or age like day number 1, where he was the blank canvas having access to everything. What I know are all the other versions that I placed upon myself and others. And through that knowingness, I know the moment I get to know myself, the deeper I dig into my traumas. And, because I was molested when I was a child, like, I grew up in poverty. I also grew up in war. I stutter, blah, 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 who knows, all kinds of traumas I kind of witnessed too, like beyond those, have created barriers to find the self. So like to me, my fuel is really knowing who Tony is. And once I get there, I have the feeling, this gnawing feeling, that will be the gateway to open up all portals, wormholes into having access to even more than what I've already had access with the limited way that I think I know myself. So I just came back from Mexico about 2 weeks ago. I've been traveling a lot the past year and a half. I've had over like 30 trips, all for spirituality speaking, and I'm doing plant medicine. And so I did Bufo recently, and this is my 5th time like doing it. And that was when I uncovered like a week and a half ago that I never knew, and I still don't know who really Toni Ghazi is. And that knowingness kind of shattered my world. Like, how can I not know myself?
Awesome question.
How on earth, after living 45 years, don't I know myself? And it was a clear, and that is my fuel now to go really deep within. And I know that the more I dig deeper, like within, to find the raw, like Toni, the blank, like canvas, that will give me access and awareness even beyond my mind can comprehend. Because oftentimes it's easy for us to not discover the self and to go try to discover other beings. Super easy, right? But it's much more challenging to say, you know what? Yes, I have access to all these beings and they're always there and I can always communicate with them. But let me begin with my own beingness. Me.
Awesome question.
Wow. So you're actually like how some people, I wouldn't even say like the Monroe Institute with the Gateway tapes where they try to, take you deeper, tell you, certain levels beyond your normal consciousness. But to me, it sounds like you're actually going for one better. You're going for as I'm awake.
Awesome
as
question.
I'm walking around, I have these layers already off. I can pick up the knowledge. I don't have to go in the deep meditate. Like, I mean, from what that's pretty cool. If that's some of the things that, because each time you say you go deeper, you're fueled to do that. You're going deeper. You keep finding out more super normal, I would say supernatural, super normal things, right? So
Totally. And I always do, and I've had thousands of like channel sessions. So I had 3 yesterday and I had 2 today. And each time, like for each client, it's complete different experience and words they use and things that
awesome
yeah.
question. Awesome question. Awesome
also,
question.
like through the praying mantis beings, at least with my experience, they really speak oftentimes about like the intellect. That humanity understands words and concepts and expressions, blah, 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 from the intellectual aspects of it. And we do not comprehend fully the multidimensional packet of what we're saying. So when I say I'm a divine being and I am God, I am Jesus, I am Mother Mary, I am Krishna, I am Buddha, I am the plants, I am the planets, I am the frog, I am the dog, I am everything, I am the road, I'm the volcano, I'm the lava, I'm the rivers, I'm all of it. We like say that sometimes, and like oneness and love and da-da-da, but from a very limited aspect of what we're saying. And I'm just uncovering this as I'm speaking to you, and I'm kind of half channeling consciously because I feel the way I'm speaking is not how I normally speak. But what I'm like realizing right now with like what I just shared is by me going deeper into who I am as a being, literally, that is the moment, like the 0-point gravity, where I am the womb of creation, where everything is being born, created, and recreated. It is through me that I create everything. And why not would I not go to the center, to the source, the creator who is me? Because once I realized I am the creator beyond the words, then hell yeah, you're going to have access to everything else I created, which is mantis and planets and like, do you know what I mean? Like,
awesome
that's
question.
just a profound moment by your question that I just thank you for that gift. It's just
awesome question.
But it began as not knowing who like Toni is, because like a week and a half ago, like when we had the Bufo experience, and I had the realization, wow, I know all of the identities of Tony. I stood there for an hour with my arms down, literally crying. Like a
Awesome question.
river of tears. I mean, all my friends were witnessing it, like the shaman was, they just gave me the space for an hour, and I was crying because I discovered Tony, the Tony I didn't know even existed. But the moment I discovered him, that's when the emotions came. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to get to know you more. I was obsessed for the past few weeks to go back to that moment of, but I know he's here, and I know I'll get to to know more of who he is. But the irony of it is I'm saying it right now, the moment that I think I reached him is gonna be an opening, literally, to so many possibilities, to creation. And I'm gonna stand there going like, wow, Tony is beyond the word Tony or the man. I am the creator. Like, profound. Like, it's just, and as I say it, I feel it. There's like emotions and experiences I'm going through right now. I can't comprehend, I cannot describe in words. So that's the level of how praying mantis kind of speak with. And like last year, I totally struggled to share those messages because I disempowered humanity, and I said, okay, I don't know if like humanity or humans or people are really like ready to like listen and hear to what I have to say, because I know what I experienced and I'm comprehending it to the point that I'm comprehending it. But I didn't understand. I didn't believe, because I disempowered humanity, that they would be like recipients of such knowledge. And I finally like surrendered like this past year in like 2025. And they came clear to me and said, your job is not to convince or know whether the person received it. Your job is to profess and continue sharing your experiences from the way that we are sharing with you, fully knowing that we are embedding frequencies, vibration, sound, color, all kinds of energies within the field of humans, of Mother Earth, within the grid of all creation, that will awaken people on their journey when they're ready to be awakened. And that actually is a lot easier for me and less weight on my shoulders to feel like I have to share this with an expectation. There is no expectation anymore. So it's a beautiful self-discovery of more of
Awesome
who I
question.
am as a being, and it just keeps every day. I mean, just by this dialogue I'm having with you, you awaken me in so many ways, all of you. I'm just so grateful, and I'm just so grateful. So thank you.
Tony, it sounds like you're channeling true love. I mean, peace, harmony, and just unconditional love, the type of love that my dogs show me. I mean, they love me. And I was just wondering, how is it sometimes that mankind can get so confused on so many things? Like myself, I believe in ancient astronauts. I believe that the gods were extraterrestrials and they kicked us in the right direction. But why is it, let's say, like the Aztecs and the Mayans, they get confused and they think that to appease the gods, that they have to have sacrifice. They have to drain the blood out of these poor victims, and you have evil because of misconception. What is it that we can do to turn that around?
I swear to God, all three of you are amazing today, because those questions have never been asked, and they're really cool because they're helping me kind of tap into that understanding. Listen, we've been so, again, conditioned and trained
Awesome question. Awesome
that
question.
sacrifice, and I'm not saying we should sacrifice, but the act of sacrifice is bad. The act of whatever, seeing blood is this and that, right? But it's coming from the understanding that we die,
Awesome question.
that
Awesome
we
question.
end somehow, that death really exists,
Awesome question.
but
Awesome
we never
question.
die. The act of death, what seems to be a transition, is an illusion. It's just a change of costume, because we're always energy. We're always living. We're just changing. Look, we're living on the stage of creation, acting out roles. And like right now, as an infinite energy, like all of us, we decided to come to the stage of humanity. We put on the costume like Halloween of what a human looks like, and through that, we're experiencing what humanity is. Because if we truly comprehend death doesn't exist, there is no sacrifice.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
What are you sacrificing? There's just transition, but also from a grander aspect. And like this is where like people really get triggered because I've had a few questions, about war, about Hitler, about serial killers, about rapists, about this, about victimhood. There is no victimhood. It is an illusion of to allow us to experience what a victimhood is like. But in essence, we are all divine ascended masters playing out these roles to expand. So even through the idea of the Aztecs, when they did sacrifice and blood and drank this and drank that, which I don't know all the stories, but like whatever they are, as dramatic as they sound and traumatic and wow, like how can they do that? They're coming from a different comprehension than we do. They are already tapped in to the cosmos. They are tapped in that death isn't there. And even like the act of blood, maybe they see it from an intelligent consciousness like aspect, right? But also we disempower the victim, like saying, oh, they got killed or they are victims when they are ascended masters and they perhaps have chosen to live that life specifically to experience what it feels like to be a victim, to experience exactly what it feels like for the blood to be drained. But those consciousness are already aware of their ascended mastery and their undying nature. So
Awesome
from
question.
that perspective, when you begin seeing it, you begin to reframe that story from a very different lens. But from the lens of separation, from the lens of forgetfulness, of like this empowerment, we experience that aspect in a sense, like history from that. But if you switch the narrative and begin remembering who we truly all are, then you see that whole interplay as literally expansion. Because the praying mantis being said,
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question.
ascension.
Awesome question.
I'm going to backtrack for one moment. Also, humanity, we have um, like defined ascension to be only on the spectrum of judgment that's good. If you're having a good life, if you're successful, if you're meditating every day, if you're in unconditional love, if you're in this on this side of the spectrum that's good and positive, wow, you are ascending. But if you're on the negative side, if you're, I don't know, depressed today, having a bad day, let's say killed a person, whatever, something like all the negative aspects, believed in the devil, which that doesn't exist really. It does, but it doesn't, not from that perspective. On this negative like aspect, then you're descending or you're not ascending or you're bad or whatever. Creation never judges anything, anyone, any decision, any experience. Creation through the mantis beings literally made me understand and know that creation expands, God, creation itself, expands through experiential acts, simply experiences. And there is never a judgment from the eye of the beholder.
Awesome question.
Because through each experience, we allow ourselves to see how infinite we are. Because if you believe there is no death, and you believe that you are an infinite being, there is no destination where you're like, I've reached infinity, because it keeps going and going and going. You keep creating, creating, creating. There's infinite aspects of everything, even infinite aspects of unconditional love, infinite aspect of fear. It keeps on going. There's different shades, different colors, different facets, different like sacred geometrical structure that keeps on going and going and going and going and going and going and going. So when you comprehend from that perspective that I'm an infinite being, and in order for me as a being to comprehend how wide, vast, and infinite I am, it is important for me to experience all of the facets of what infinity is. And all of the facets are all, not just the positive side. Is the positive, the neutral, and the negative, although from creation doesn't see positivity and neutrality and well, it's actually like more neutral than the um, the like the judgment spectrum, right? But those are topics that will trigger people
Awesome
and
question.
have triggered people. Like, what do you mean? Like they talked, so I was in Las Vegas a year and a half ago at like my first show, Disclosure Fest, and like there was like one audience member that asked the praying mantis beings about war. If we're whatever, if you're good or if we're good people, why, or if we're good to humanity, why are we experiencing war and death, and specifically children dying? You know, and they answered it in the most beautiful way that literally blew my mind open to understanding what war is. Again, because of the disempowered
Awesome question.
lens in which we describe the world, we see the perpetrator as a bad person. We see the children or the parents dying or whoever dying as disempowered. But we're not comprehending beyond that the vessels that are within it, the souls, the infinite beings who have chosen through their own knowingness to play those roles out specifically for each one to expand. So the perpetrator that decides to kill through that role he or she are playing are expanding through that experience. The victim, through their ascended mastery, not disempowered being, ascended mastery, chosen that role to experience what victimhood is like, but fully knowing there is no death. They will never cease to exist, right? They will continue on to a different life, but they chose that. And us as viewers of such a war, to experience the interplay and the exchange of the power, truly all of it on our end from observers allows our heart to expand, allows our compassion to be stretched, to be able to feel love to a deeper level that we cannot comprehend without experiencing such act of illusion you call war. And when they described this in that perspective, it blew my mind open. I'm like, my mind open. I was like, oh my God, yes, of course. If I live in a world and define my world to be humans and like killers and whatever, that there's death and it ends, then yes, I will experience a reality of what we are experiencing now. But if I see it from a grander perspective, that I'm an infinite being and my soul inside of me is eternally living, it's the same with the other souls, and witnessing those acts as ascended mastery and honoring fully what each ascended master chose, because it takes a powerful master to choose to play out a role that is unaccepted by like by humanity, right? Like to be Hitler, to be Trump, let's say, and whatever, to be the ones that people always taboo. It takes ascended mastery to choose that role cautiously, to play it out, to allow itself to expand and others to expand. So when you begin to redefine your life in reality and the many realities in which you choose as a creator, it changes the paradigm, it changes everything. And you begin to vibrate from a very different frequency and vibration where your whole reality changes. Like my husband lives in his own world. He always tells me in jokes, he says, you don't live in this reality. You're crazy. Like, you don't watch the news, you don't do this. I'm like, yep, I don't. He's like, no, you don't. I'm like, no, I understand you fully. I do not live in this reality. I live in my own bubble of my own creation, allowing everybody else as ascended masters to live the way that they choose to. I witness the journeys of everyone else and I witness my own journey. And it takes a lot of redefining your world, and takes a lot of strength and courage to fall into the abyss and say these things. But I had to trust what they're telling me. I cannot, like, I'm beginning to live this way more and more and more. And he's witnessing my journey and he gets afraid sometimes, like, what's going to happen? You're going to go live in a hut. And I'm like, I probably will. I don't care for like, but not there, anyhow. So I'm just giving you a real raw example between, like within my family unit, of how even my husband witnesses me speaking about these things and he doesn't get a lot of it, but I'm here to honor him. I'm not here to change anyone. I'm just here to witness all of us, but fully knowing internally that each and every one of us are ascended masters, are light beings,
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome
That's
question.
excellent. Phil, you got anything you want to ask Toni?
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question.
I think you made you said quite a lot, and a lot of it it was huge, and it takes a whole lot of growth, I think, to get to that level of understanding. I think the hardest chasm to try to span in that is the understanding, or maybe the acceptance, is of pain, of suffering, and of trauma that goes along with the sacrifice.
Awesome question.
Of the masters, as you would call them, or the victims, or whatever label we want to put on the people that do suffer, and then that do die.
Awesome
I
question.
mean, you yourself, said, you had went through trauma in your life, as most of us do. Nobody gets through this life unscathed. And it's very hard to shed that baggage. So I'm with you although it's not an easy mountain to climb.
Yeah.
So
Look, I really like love the three of you because like truly with your collective, with the three of you, you've asked some amazing questions. So like you know, I would love to address the idea of pain through my personal experience. So on top of all the trauma I've had, you know, I like used to be buff and I go to the gym and I've gone to the gym since I was 18. When I began awakening, which it really always began a little earlier than when you think you actually like awaken. There's always like trickles, and like when you look back, you're like, oh, you know, there's all these little like pieces. Um, so I hurt my lower back, my L4, L5, like lumbar four, lumbar five, like disc, and it began. I'm like becoming aggravated, and like when it does, I would not be able to walk for a week. Literally, I'm in bed for a week, like working from my laptop. I couldn't use the restroom. I couldn't wipe. Like a lot of daily things you do because like a small inch I would move and it would be this white pain, because the bulge would hit the like the nerve of the spine and it would just debilitate me. All the muscles from my legs to my butt to my upper shrink up. So if the muscle is this long, now it's this long, and it's just like I'm hunched over, and absolute like one of the most painful experiences I could ever be in. And like that experience happened like 5 or 6 times a year, and it lasted for 5 years.
awesome
This
question.
past year, 2024, you know, I had a bout where it happened. I'm all like crunched up. I crawled to bed. When I get into bed, I would be terrified to get out of bed. Like I wouldn't, like the mind can really play, the fear can really play with your mind. It debilitates you in so many ways. It was so traumatic. There was a moment where I was in so much pain that and I've had probably 25 of these like episodes in the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years. Not one time have I recorded myself screaming in pain.
Awesome question.
2024, last, I don't know, September, October, or November, like, I don't know, 8 months ago. Somehow, maybe through the Mantis beings, my consciousness, I decided to record myself screaming. As I'm screaming, Phil, I cannot tell you this. As I'm screaming out loud in absolute white pain,
Awesome question.
I
Awesome question.
realized the reason I was feeling the pain is because I was resisting what pain is, literally. I was so afraid of pain that the fear of pain created more pain. Because the moment I began screaming out loud, consciously hearing myself scream, the pain that was so white and intense fizzled away to the point that I channeled, which is insane. I mean, I'm sweating. I'm like in traumatic experience. You know, I channeled like a few messages that came through my ancestors, and the message for me that came through is I carried the pain of my ancestor line to release it in this lifetime. Because in that past life regression that what I like didn't share with you, like the first image that came to praying mantis, the next two images I was a slave, a black boy that was buried alive in a coffin, and I was like, you know, another time a slave where my back was like broken into pieces. I was like beaten to the point my spine like shattered. And look, whatever other traumas I've like lived in like past life or like simultaneous lives in that moment when I didn't expect to channel, and I don't even know why I began like recording myself, but I was so in pain that I was doing something to get my mind out of it. I channeled this message that said you're carrying the back pain of your ancestral line, and this is the moment for you to release it. But what I realized through that experience is the surrender into what my mind thought pain is what literally released the pain, the experience of what we call pain. And it was such a powerful experience to realize, wow, all these 25, 30 times I was in bed for 7 days, couldn't crawl, and in pain, I could have released it, but it was my voice that gave that release because I heard myself in that moment, and I was okay to be the pain because the resistance of experiencing pain, because we've been trained, again, that's the spectrum that is negative. If you're happy, sad, having pain, you shouldn't push away, don't get to know, deny, run away from it, bury it. That is part of us. That's the key. When you meet face to face through the illusion, what seems to be pain and awful, and it's going to be dramatic, it's going to be whatever. When you face it fully and surrender and say, you know what? I know I am an infinite being, and even the idea of pain is part of me. That I'm, even right now, as I'm saying it, I'm afraid to experience, but I am willing to surrender. The moment you surrender in it, you grab a piece of you back to your heart.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
Because you are pain, we are evil, we are good, we are all of it.
Awesome
But
question.
all the ones that we deny and shun,
Awesome
we
question.
separate that piece that is part of us
Awesome question. Awesome
away
question.
from us. That's why we keep searching for more of who we are, because we're trying to get all of those pieces of who we are back to us. And the surrender into not knowing what it actually is where the gift gets revealed.
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question.
I don't know
Awesome
what
question.
else to say. I'm just feeling these knowingness of just like,
Awesome question.
look, even Bufo, like when I did Bufo, is a very strong medicine and it's quite scary. I was absolutely terrified to do it. The shaman was in front of me. She saw my eyes like this, and I was afraid. I was literally a white ghost because I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was going to experience. I didn't want to be stuck in a space where it's uncomfortable. And all I found was love.
Awesome
All I
question.
found, and I did it 5 times.
Awesome question.
All 4 times I was still terrified, as much love as I feel in it. But the most recent trip that I did like 2.5 weeks ago was the one where I really like surrendered and didn't fall into the fear. I mean, there was a little bit of anxiety, of course, that's normal, but I surrendered more and more. And it was just like, there's more of who we are in everything. We just need to surrender. And it takes courage to surrender. It takes a few tries to learn what surrender is, how to surrender. Because
Awesome question.
literally, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Tony. I thank you for all of that. Is that like ayahuasca? Is that anything like ayahuasca?
No, so ayahuasca has been calling on me, but I've been scared because ayahuasca will last 6 to 12 hours. With Bufo, it will last for 45 minutes to half an hour. It is the toad medicine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Toad venom.
yeah, or they call it the God particles. I think I've heard it called, and it's the MEO 5-DMT something something something, whatever that
Yes.
sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look,
Um,
Awesome question.
Sorry,
Tony,
Jason.
I want to ask you about I want to ask you about the unwele, that root in Africa that they take. It's a life tonic. It's called unwele or Sutherlandia, if you're hip to that. But also, I want to ask you personally. I grew up in San Francisco. I grew up in the Bay Area. So I feel that minorities, no matter what reason they consider you a minority, you get some kind of hits that make you kind of wake and make you to kind of, I think like awaken your brain. It wakes your brain up faster. So that being said, I want to ask you, do you feel that being gay, having the other traumas, people discrimination, things like that, do you think that's giving you a head start, say in your field, being empathetic, being able to channel, being able to feel people's feelings? Do you think that's giving you a head start?
Look,
Awesome
I love
question.
your question, and I understand where it's coming from, and I'm gonna answer it in a different way. How the Mantis beings have been answering a few questions people have been asking in the past few months. That was profound to me, because saying what you just said, the way that you posed the question, and I'm not saying like this is like your intention. I'm gonna wrap it around to what right to like what the Mantis will say and have said. The way that you pose the question, almost as if it sounds, the trauma and drama and whatever I experienced, gay and this and that, I was molested, I was kicked out of the house, and I I'm like that I lived in poverty or whatever it is. That perhaps, like you said, gives you a head start more than this. That's judgment
Awesome question.
in all experiences. What the praying mantises have been saying, like recently, like to my clients, is have a life review. They say, like sit down for an hour and allow memories to surface up. And it's all about judgment, where you have judged yourself as a human, as a being, whether in school, about the way you look, the thing you did, like you witnessed others like judging, and you had, so whatever judgment like resided, so have a life review and allow those memories to surface. It's not about which memory is right to surface. The memory that is ready like to be released and integrated back into your heart like will come up.
Awesome question. Awesome
And
question.
when a like memory like surface up, like go back to that version of you
Awesome question. Awesome
and
question.
speak to it and like meet it, and allow that version of you to fully know the experience that it had was precisely and perfectly orchestrated by creation for expansion, precisely the way that it went, and
So you
bring
said
it.
it does not. You're saying like regardless of the experience, anything, it's not like come on, come off, but whatever your path or experience is, you still have to. It's still all relative to the information, the level that you're talking about, the infinite being. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes, because oftentimes we devalue all the parts of who we are, parts of our story up to this point. We devalue it, judge it, we like bury it down. Where the key is you go back and see that every experience you went through, traumatic or non-traumatic, happy or non-happy, whatever it is all of value to allow you to be here where you are. Because when you consciously go back, because we all devalue ourselves in so many ways, we're trained to do that. None of us has ever like lived life valuing every second of it. We devalued a lot of parts of who we are. But when you go back and bring value back and bring it to the seat of creation, and like they said, those memories, that version of you, bring it to the seat and have each
Awesome
choice
question.
you made, each experience, every microsecond, every breath you had, has a seat in creation. You begin to see your life as the value of creation, as and from that vibration and frequency, you're not judging yourself anymore. What you are doing in that moment is you have brought all those pieces back to you, and now you are a full being as of today, experiencing yourself moment by moment by moment by moment, as a whole, not as a as a being with holes in their being. Does that make sense?
Yes, I see what you.
Yes.
Nice. I appreciate that
Yeah.
answer. Thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah, of course, of course. Because look, it's easy for me to have answered like that question and said, yeah, because I was gay and I was kicked out and traumatic and molested.
Right.
Yeah, it like gave me a leg up, but my heart knows
Awesome
that's a
question.
3D. That's like the separate answer. But like my heart knows, no. Yeah.
Because if you're in the fourth dimension, you could see us. We could see the two-dimensional beings. But then, I was also saying just from the part of, I noticed how, a lot of times when people are put through adverse situations, whatever they might be, like you said, it doesn't matter what it is. You just seem that your brain gets awakened, like because you have to deal with stuff. But the way you explained it, it actually is a more universal path for everybody, not based on a specific type of trauma or trauma. Everybody's going to experience, that type of thing. But
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
you think, Phil?
Awesome question.
I I think I love Tony's message of is seems positive, and makes me feel good, and I love that. Um, I also think there is some merit to the fact that adversity causes growth and introspection and forces you to, it forces action, and action always causes growth. So I think there was some validity to your question, Zandine, and I think what Tony said was right on target. And again, positive, and I love this answer.
Yeah. And then let me add one more aspect that the Mantis beings are saying, like to share with you, which will help your audience and you or whoever. They recently shared, I
Awesome
think I was
question.
in LA, and they talked about mirror effect and how we see our life. Again, how we're trained to go outside of our door. And again, it's all about judgment because judgment separates. We're trained to do that. And also part of it, we chose to live that life to experience what, because that's part of creation. But like they said, imagine when you walk out like your door tomorrow, everything that you witness, every human, every plant, every river, every the wind, the sun, experiences that you witness to, the car, whatever, all of it is consciousness.
Awesome
Begin
question.
seeing all of that as ascended masters,
Awesome question. Awesome question.
holding mirrors
Awesome
back
question.
to you, reflecting to you what you are unable to see within yourself. Like They said, what a beautiful gift you have given yourself, surrounding yourself with mirror effects by all these ascended masters to show you constantly things about yourself that you are unable to see on your own.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
What a freaking gift. I want to use another F word. What a freaking gift to
Awesome question.
redefine your life as such. Everything that's happening in the world, even now with politics or whatever else and blah, 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 begin seeing it from a different lens. What is that invoking within me? What is it triggering within me that I don't know lies under the many layers of definitions that is an operating system that is making me stay within the illusion, of like separation. And that's where the value comes in. That's where you begin to live life of magic. And that's where you begin to find yourself even more by valuing all of those ascended masters holding mirrors to you, literally are there precisely to trigger you, to show you, because if you didn't have a trigger within you, you wouldn't be triggered, you wouldn't be bothered. But that's how beautiful we as humans created like such a world, but we don't see it that way, so we don't experience it that way. But imagine if you walk out tomorrow and do precisely that. Challenge yourself to begin to see those messages.
Awesome
like
question.
Brain explosion.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
What a magical world we live in. Everything we see outside of it literally is designed to take us exactly where we want to come to find, which is ourselves fully. But we're not taught. That's what it is. We're taught, unless you look like this guy, unless you're this, unless you're that, unless you have this degree, unless you make this much money, you live in this neighborhood, whatever it is, then you're not. You're disempowered. You're less.
How do you walk around and stay that present at all times?
Well, you don't all the time. I don't. Listen, like right now, I'm in the mode, I'm in a channeling state, and I'm aware. But you challenge yourself, right? But even if you're not in that mode, and this is the other thing, that's the next. This is where you keep digging deeper and deeper into yourself, hearing yourself, judging yourself. Even if you're not in that aware mode, even if you're in the forgetfulness mode, that forgetfulness is also ascension, because even forgetting and not knowing is allowing you to see a different facet of the infinite. When you begin to value that too, then you begin having the free will choice to vibrate in and out of whatever you choose.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
Valuing everything about who you are, every part of your experience, beyond the intellect, fully understanding the value of it, will free us into being in the free will aspect of choosing whichever way that like you want to live, because there is no judgment. Even if you choose this lifetime, Phil, to live in complete forgetfulness and none of this that we discussed even applies to you and you don't do it, that's still ascension.
Awesome question. 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 Awesome question.
Again, there's an
awesome question.
I understand that what I said was judgmental, but I can't help but feel the way I feel about that by comparison. Just being present seems much more present. You're engaged, you're aware, you're making the effort to actually think about everything you're doing, every thought you're having, everything you're looking at, rather than going through the motions.
Yeah. So listen, the fact that you said what you said and you really like iterated, that shows you what your soul is desiring, quenching for.
Awesome
question. I hate to say like the word challenge because there is no challenge, but challenge yourself. Begin creating new habits. When you catch yourself, because you will forget, but when you catch yourself judging or this and that, like remember this conversation and act it out. I talk to myself all the time in the car. I'm like, Tony, why did you do that? Okay, I'm not going to judge that part. You're cool, part of creation. But now I'm going to be more aware and conscious to do this or act this way or say this way. Like play a role, speak to yourself little by little. We're basically we're deconstructing what we were told life is and who we are, etc., and reconstructing a new operating system within us that vibrates on that frequency. It's really more simple than we think.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, and Tony, you were on Coast to Coast AM, and did George Norrie interview you?
Yes.
Okay, and did George Norrie understand everything that you were putting out there?
Yeah, I mean, like George Noory knows about these topics and a lot more. He has a lot of guests from, I mean, he's on like the Gaia channel. He has a few shows. I forget what they're called, but yeah, he has a lot of guests that speak about these like concepts and all kinds of different concepts. So he's well aware and well versed. Um,
Can I tell you a funny story, Tony?
yeah, please.
I was supposed to be a guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie,
Yeah.
and he's never forgave me for this. But anyway, I was really tired. I worked some overtime, and I knew he was going to call me about midnight. So I took a little nap, and the telephone rang, and I had the telephone right next to me. I picked up, and I go, George, George, yeah, yeah, this is Paul. And he goes, Paul Roberts, are you there? I go, George, I'm right here. Paul, are you there? And then click, he hung up. And he's never asked me ever again to be on his show. And just because he couldn't hear me on the phone, or if he did hear me, he was just giving me a hard time. I don't know.
Listen, are you judging yourself for that? Do
I'm
you have
judging myself. I'm sorry, Tony.
No, no, no. Listen, don't apologize. It's funny we're talking about this. Look, I'll talk to his team to see if like we can reconnect it. But I had to wake up at 3 a.m. because it was 3 a.m. my time to be on his show, which was like from 3 to 5:30 a.m., which is crazy. Like it didn't make sense in my mind. But anyways, um, but no, look, this is a precise, perfect moment of those memories of the life review. That is precisely it. The more that you stay in the judgment aspect of self, I should have woken, whatever it is, I should have woken up, should have answered, should have been louder, should have, whatever, could have. You,
Awesome
in a
question.
sense, continue operating on that like separation aspect. Just go back to that memory and love that version of you that was up at 12 a.m. that interacted for a quick like microsecond, although he didn't hear, and thank it fully and know that it was precisely meant to happen the way that it meant to happen. When you literally give it unconditional love and bring it back to your heart, that vibration and frequency will shift. And believe me when I tell you, George Norrie will call or somehow some synchronicity will happen, it will. But the more that we keep judging ourselves that, I did something wrong or whatever it is, or he may be thinking this, the stories we create, the more we'll perpetuate that reality. And even that reality is creation, is perfect in design. It's like what you consciously decide to shift, like the paradigm that you're in. It's a lot more simpler than you do. But literally, when I say unconditionally love yourself, love that version of you that didn't get on the full call, fully knowing that it was meant to occur precisely that it did.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
And you release, literally, you release the bondage, all the shackles of fear and limitation and separation and all of that, because we don't realize that we have tethered ourselves with so many shackles to all of the judgments, and we're walking life
Awesome
with
question.
thousands, tons. That's why we feel heavy. What's enlightenment? You lighten yourself, you become lighter. You care less in a sense, but not in a non-caring, non-loving way, but you carry less.
Awesome question.
Because
Awesome
all of it
question.
was perfect. All of it was perfectly designed to happen exactly how it happened. And when you realize that, then things will shift and what you desire will happen.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
Makes sense to me there, Tony.
Sorry, one more time.
I said it makes sense to me.
I know. So listen, often this is my point about the intellect. Oftentimes things may make sense intellectually, but comprehending them beyond the intellect, fully knowing what we are saying and embodying what we are saying is a very different vibration and frequency. Like be the being that fully knows the way that life or that experience orchestrated itself literally was made by creation, was made by you specifically.
Awesome
Perfectly.
question.
And whatever was meant to be received by the both was received energetically.
Awesome
You know?
question.
Tony, you believe in the macrocosm being like the microcosm, because when I hear you speak about the infinite being, it reminds me of the Dogon tribe and the Yoruba tribe. The Dogon tribe, the way they expressed it was, you get 3 degrees of knowledge. You actually get 4 degrees, but you got one that comes in front of you, the Virso, one that comes from the side, the Curso, and one that comes from behind the Virso, and then you have the fourth, which is all your culmination, all of that you know, like you're not playing by the numbers anymore. You know the piece, you know the whole thing. It's intrinsically in you. So they want to live with no blemish, like they would think their God, Amma, which is masculine and feminine. Amma actually has a baby inside his stomach. They call it the pugilistic. It's actually this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. It's almost like that kind of thing. They want to live like with no blemishes, but the culmination of all their knowledge, uh, is in the fourth degree, to where it just is like a leaf falling from the tree, natural. So that's anybody that's indigenous or going with the flow of things. It seems like you're onto something.
Listen, I'm so grateful to you. I don't know anything about the Dogon tribes, but they came to my vibration about 2.5 weeks ago through some article. The only thing that I know is Bashar mentioned like something about the Dogon tribes and them connecting to some amphibious beings. It's the only thing I know.
Yeah.
Just these two
Yes.
things. But what you just described is so beautiful.
What was so interesting too about the Dogon tribe is that they said that these extraterrestrials came from Sirius B. Sirius B, you can't even see with the naked eye, but somehow they knew about it. So who told them? Extraterrestrials.
Totally.
Well, yeah, yeah. If you check out Credo Mutua, David Icke, or like pretty much proliferated his reptilian theory. Credo Mutua has beautiful stories about the actual tribes that actually came down and made certain agreements with us, if you want to call it that. And in one particular case, a tribe was told that, hey, until we can feed our poor and help our sick, they really didn't see any reason to really come back and reunite with us the way they want to. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, the Dogon tribe, they would draw out
Awesome question.
locations where Sirius B actually is, and they asked them who told them. And so that's how they got the creation story. But ironically, the tribe that lives next to them, Yoruba, they're just as profound, but they believe in life having started in the water, male and female. So that's another story. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's all about awareness, right? It's all about stretching our like aware state to begin to encompass more and more all the lives that we live, right? So like one tribe may only begin to remember themselves as more through one aspect of a life, or like some may, right, like maybe several. But I love what you said about the Dogon tribe, that they like you like use the word blemish, because they comprehend there is no blemish. There is never the concept of blemish we created as a limited society. There is no blemish. Everything is creation. Like literally everything is, even pain is made of creation. It is creation. And when you comprehend that from that aspect, there's so many gifts within it that I don't even comprehend yet, although I'm saying it. Like what resides in pain that I don't even know what it is, because I've never fully surrendered fully into what that is.
Awesome question.
Well, you're on love. You're about love. I mean, nobody can just. I mean, any intelligent, absolutely intelligent person, it would have to be love in their equation. I mean, number one. I mean, we would have to agree on that. I mean, you could have like the Borg who think they're super smart and intelligent, but that's not absolutely intelligent. They have no love.
Yeah. Listen, the moment humanity, or the majority of our humanity, vibrates on unconditional love vibration, is the moment where we have access to all the beings that we desire to meet. Listen, intelligent consciousness is so funny. Like people are always like, oh my God, I can't wait to see UFO, or I can't wait to meet this being, or I can't wait to I can't. Dude, a guy that looks exactly like you, maybe white or black or Asian, Indian or whatever, you cannot get along with, and he looks precisely like you, of the same vibration, the same skin, blood, whatever. You're telling us as intelligent beings, come down with different vibration and frequency, not even resembling like you, and oftentimes may look scary. And you're saying you're going to run to us with love? Doesn't make sense in my mind. And Mantis said, until humanity vibrates on unconditionality of love for all consciousness, is the time where we are ready to receive
awesome
more of that creation has to offer. But until we comprehend that, we're still going to be separate. We're going to struggle and have a challenge to meet. Although some humans will have interactions, because, like some of us maybe not more awakened, but have practiced or challenged themselves to understand them more, and will have like interactions. But as humanity as a whole, it's going to take some time until
Awesome question. Awesome question.
we understand what unconditional love really is.
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome
The
question.
only ones that know it, it seems like our pets, our animals. Phil's dogs and cats. Phil over here has 7 dogs and cats. Zandine has cats, and I have 2 dogs. But then I feed the squirrels, the possums, the raccoons that come by. I
Yeah.
take care of them all.
Yeah, we have 5 dogs. I mean, now we have 4 because we lost one a few months ago. But yeah, we have dog, and we have like bird feeders in the back, and we feed. Yeah, it's beautiful, and
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question.
yeah. Look,
Yeah.
we're all searching for the same thing. That's the enigma about this whole thing. Like all of us can talk in different ways, different this and religion, that, and this facet and that facet, this perspective. All of us, what we're trying to do is go within and find who ourself is, because there's only one God, really. It's us.
Awesome
Us
question.
creating, all the rest. So, um,
Awesome
and
question.
it's beautiful. I want to say it's like beautiful to find also men, straight men too. And I'm not saying like straight or gay, because like some gay men are still asleep too and in the 3D, but masculine energy on planet Earth, that, right, you know what I mean? That is
Awesome question.
like beginning to awaken, to find self, to heal self, to talk from, because really the new future is all of us. There's like no more gender, there's no more like sexual differences. We're all energy, we're all flow, we experience the idea of love even from a different way. Even like intercourse, right? The physical intercourse, but even um, like tantric type love, like other ways. Like it's beautiful to see humans that in the past would be so closed off, and no, this is only for the women or females, or like sensitive emotion. We're all emotions. We're all creations. So it's just beautiful to witness to and keep spread that message. So
Awesome
I
question.
honor you,
Awesome
3
question.
beautiful ascended masters. Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show tonight, Tony. Learned
Thank you.
quite a lot. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Zandine. It's a pleasure.
I'm on the same time in the footage. We got all kind of stuff. I was gonna show. I had a Merkabah capture for you, but I'll send it to you.
Yeah, yeah. So I had spaceships come over my house. I have light ships on my phone. I have orbs. I have like fairies. I have videos after videos after videos. Like I have night vision camera, like Z ship. All when I awakened began hovering over. Like I'm in DC, like hovering over me. It's been crazy.
Tony,
How's the drone situation out there?
What?
Tony,
What's that?
I'm sorry.
How's the drone situation?
Sorry. How is?
Drone. Drone, I think he's saying the
Oh,
drone
drone.
situation.
I haven't seen a lot of drones. It's more New Jersey, I think, happened.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole path.
Yeah,
There was new-
and also too, FAA already said that they knew about the drones and everything else. So, hey, Tony, how can people reach you?
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, so hold on. I think Zandine is showing us. Wow, amazing.
Awesome question. Awesome question.
He's showing us, not to interrupt you, Paul.
Oh, no, no, no,
Yep.
no.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally, totally. Yep, I have like round sphere orbs of multicolored that are completely silent flying over my house. Amazing. Wow.
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question.
Beautiful.
Awesome question. Awesome question. Awesome question.
I
Awesome
mean,
question.
there's beauty in that. There's like freaking love in there. There's creation. You could feel the vibration of this being. Thank you, Zandine. Oh, he has more. Zandine is on a row.
Awesome
He's
question.
on a roll.
He's on a row.
Okay.
The Joshua tree. But I
Wow.
actually, when we knew you were coming on, Tony, I actually made some promos for you. But we'll do it. We'll get into it next time.
No problem. No worries. No worries. No worries at all. So you can find me on my first name, last name.com. Tony with an I, not a Y. So TONI, GHAZI.com. All my social media is there. All my events are there. Like you can schedule a session. Like we teach channeling classes, or like we have channeling classes to allow you to tap in and learn how to channel like energies and believe and trust because the wisdom lies within you. I have praying mantis crystal skulls. I'm the only one in the world that makes them. I'll show you.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So nobody on earth makes praying mantis. Well, I thought they were made, but they weren't made. So this is
Oh wow.
small. And like, ironically enough, like the head looks like a heart. I have all kinds of stones and all kinds of colors, and I'm working on more. So I have the big ones on my website. Like, these are the medium size, like which is carryable. So I think I want to make more medium size than the big ones because you can carry them. But yeah, so everything is there. My email is there. Feel free to reach out. Any questions, advice, whatever. Also I'm going into corporate coaching, but spiritual corporate coaching, and I'm going to be in a movie in Amazon in 2026. We're filming it actually in Bali next month. I'll be one of
movie. What's the name of the movie?
Inspire.
Awesome question.
So I'll be one of 6 executive producers. There'll be 4 or yeah, I think 4 or like 5. Like there'll be 5 executive coaches that have been in the business forever. I'm the new one that's a bit cuckoo and more on like spirituality. So that's really exciting. What else? There's a lot. I mean, I'm going to Japan. I'm channeling for the Japanese public also at the end of May.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah. So a lot. Oh, I'm also going to Abu Dhabi, and who knows? I may channel for them too. The Middle East, my people, kind of the Middle East. So a lot of crazy stuff.
You'll love Tokyo.
Excellent stuff.
I've been to Tokyo, and when you go on an elevator, nobody knows the sense of space. They're right next to you.
They know what oneness is, right?
Son, you got to channel them, get that soul up out of them. Like, when you come back, we'll have a little paranormal soul talk about it.
Awesome question.
Totally.
Awesome question.
That's what he said, right?
Like,
to come back. He said to come back and talk about it.
People.
Yeah,
I know my microphone is down.
Awesome question.
I'm on the road. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're all excited to have you back on the show again. If you would love to do that, tell me. We'd love to have you.
I absolutely would love to. We can talk about all kinds of topics. I'll share with you what the men say. I'm happy to channel if you guys want me to and ask questions.
That would be amazing.
So you can experience the energy. No, I mean, I really mean it's been. I've been on over 70 podcasts, just to let you know. All of them are amazing, but I want to say this trio is quite special. The questions you guys have asked have been so activating.
Thank you.
I really mean it because your energies are really, you're aware of like the more, and all I hope is that your audience, when they hear it, I hope that they're going to be activated in their own way, and that's how we all help each other ascend and assist and celebrate each other and celebrate each other. That's important. Celebrate each other like no more division. We're all one, guys. We're all love.
And love the animals. Love the animals.
Smoking.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. You have a great night. Thank you again, Tony.
Love you guys. You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Have a great evening. Bye, guys. Bye, Zandy.